Good morning, everyone. Hi, hi. Hi. If you're here, you probably know why you're here already. My name is Rashida Dow. I host a live on YouTube every-ish Sunday talking about all things career breaks, sabbaticals. If you're watching the replay and just happen to come across your screen, go ahead and subscribe, turn on notifications. You're going to want more of this in your life, I promise. But today I'm here with a special guest that most of you probably already know. This is Kathy Hampton from Wellside Retreats, and Kathy is here to talk to us about how to make sure that your sabbatical is successful. And Kathy can speak to this because she is on month what of her sabbatical?
First sabbatical. First sabbatical. New.
Okay, and how many months into your sabbatical are you?
I'm ending 3 months with a little. Actually, it actually went into 4 months because I'm including the month of April that I didn't work.
Okay.
I was abroad for 3, and then in April I stayed home. It was staycation. Didn't do too much.
Or we're going to dig into that a little bit deeper later on. But for right now, thank you to everyone who's here watching us. Thank you for being here. I know it's early in the morning for some of you, but we appreciate you being here and bringing your energy. So first, Kathy, can you introduce yourself to everyone? Tell them what you did, what you do, and why you needed a sabbatical. Not that you need a reason. No one needs a reason, but what was your reason?
Right. Well, who I am is Kathy Hampton, and I'm the founder, creator of Wellside Retreats, which is a retreat service for Black women where we focus on moving away from what no longer serves us and what will serve us all well. And that means going through for women who are usually 50 and older, I attract, who have experienced various transitions through their life or are feeling stuck in the gap, moving from one thing to the other. So what I did prior to my sabbatical, is the meat of all of this, the good stuff, is that I was a corporate law librarian or research analyst for large global law firms, and have been doing that for about 30 years now. And I've worked all of my life, really, along with going to college, checking off all the boxes. And I'd never really taken a long vacation except for as a child during vacation, summer vacations. And what I decided I needed to do. I hope this is in order, Rashida.
Fine. Your order is our order. It's fine.
What I decided to do most recently was to take a leave from work. But prior to that, I actually quit my job. And I quit my job because I couldn't fathom working in the office again when called back to the office. But also, my work was no longer fulfilling to me. And I think I had reached a point where I had done all of the things. I'd been in management, all the things that they tell you, climbing that corporate ladder, trying to reach the glass ceiling, all of that stuff, but was feeling like many Black women that I was working hard, jumping as high as I could jump, doing all the things that we would consider successful, but wasn't fulfilled and wasn't being recognized, was disrespected quite often, and not compensated, I don't believe, for what I had been doing. So after quitting work, I did start working remotely, and I did that for 6 months prior to the sabbatical. And in between this, I took Rashida's course on how to do that. I actually took Rashida's course. It was actually before, was it during my vacation to Mexico, which was, I've done a lot. So I'm trying to
It was
get
right before and
right.
into it. Yeah.
It was it was, yeah. Or I had been following
Mhm.
Rashida and had actually planned a long vacation in Mexico. And that was in, gosh, 2021 for my birthday month. Yeah, June. And so I got a hint of how this might feel, having time off, resting a little bit, seeing something new, learning something new, and planned for it, had a budget for it. You know, and I had never traveled by myself. Had not been out of the country by myself. I'd only been to Canada, but with family. Yeah, so that was new, and this sabbatical for 3 months was new. And I went abroad for my sabbatical because anyone could stay home, but I decided I was going to travel and go to Portugal for that time, and I'm glad I did. And now I came back the end of March and spent this month um, kind of getting used to being back, which was surprising. I did not want to leave Portugal. I found it just very peaceful, enjoyable. I learned a lot, met a lot of people, saw how other people were living, expats and people who had relocated to Portugal, how easy things were for them. When I say easy, just a lifestyle that I really want, and I really would like to have. And so I didn't want to leave, and I didn't because I knew that I was going to be coming back to things that aren't so great here in the States. And and then it dawned on me that I can come back, but then I can leave again. And that's how I've had to manage this mindset that that nothing is going can hold me back from returning or traveling again. So that's what really picked me up. I would say to kind of get back together. It's hard coming back, returning.
All right. So I'm gonna rewind a bit and we're gonna start from you give us a lot. So I'm gonna break this down a little bit,
Yeah.
give people what they need, which is probably a lot more info about what you were experiencing and and how you experienced it. So to recap, last June you went on a 3-week scouting trip in Mexico, right?
Right.
And when you went on the scouting trip, what was the purpose? Was your thought that at some point you might want to move to Mexico?
Yeah. It was rest, relaxation, and scouting.
Okay.
I wanted to take a look at Mexico for to possibly relocate there. Mexico City is where I landed. I love Mexico City. I also visited Oaxaca, um, and found it to be very charming. Also, came and when I was there, I did lots of touring, but I rested. But mostly it was to see how I would feel relocating there.
Okay.
Hmm.
So after your 3 weeks, you can speak freely here. After your 3 weeks, how did you feel about relocating to Mexico?
Um, if I felt I was unsure,
Hmm.
um, and the reason why was because I found Mexico City to be very just really large.
Mm-hmm.
And I wasn't sure how I was going to manage that.
Right.
I really didn't. Oaxaca, on the other hand, was a different type of city, and I didn't know how I would. I like the city, but I also like things being really kind of quiet, or I don't know. But Oaxaca did not have as much going on, of course, as the city. So. Um, yeah, so that's why I said, well, let me put this on the shelf. Let me think about it. In the meantime, I started then planning on a sabbatical, um, especially when I was asked to come back to the office.
Okay. Because at this point you hadn't quit your job yet.
No, I had not.
And they asked you to come back.
Yes.
Okay, so now I'm going to rewind past Mexico and go back. How long after this scouting trip in Mexico and after them asking you to come back? So they asked you to come back in like July of 2021?
No, they were pointing to September.
Okay. But
Come
you
back.
knew you didn't want to go back in September.
Mm-mm.
And when did you quit?
I quit in August.
Okay. Now, you said you weren't feeling fulfilled and you weren't it didn't sound like you were enjoying your experience at work overall.
No.
How long had you been feeling like that?
That's a good question. I had not felt fulfilled in this work for many years, but I've gone through a lot of transitions. So when I got to this particular firm in New York City, I actually I really enjoyed the firm itself. It was actually a goal that I set for myself, that I was going to actually work for this particular company, and it turned out to be the same toxicity that I had felt other places. It was like it followed me, and
I want to caution against it followed you, because that sounds like you had a role in it, as opposed to law firms have built themselves up by nature to be toxic environments.
Thank
you worked like
yeah.
It's not that because it follows you sounds like you were bringing the toxicity with you,
right?
Instead of working in an industry that thrives on toxicity.
Yes. Thank you for that. Yeah, it was there. I just didn't
for you at the door.
It was there when I got there, and it took me 2 weeks to see it.
Ooh, that's not long at all.
No,
that honeymoon phase was short.
No, it was 2 weeks, and I actually have like this 2-week rule. I can sniff it, I can feel it.
Okay.
Yeah, it was there. And it was just for me, it was just a matter of time. I had recently moved to the New York City area. I was in New Jersey, lived in New Jersey, but commuted into New York City. And so all of this was new, this particular position. And the commuting in and out of New York City, along with this constant hustle. I was working in the evenings, going back and forth on public transportation. Sounds exciting, but it wasn't. I didn't have much time for myself, even as a newly single person, getting used to that, empty nesting at the same time that I was doing all of this. And so a lot of things were happening, but you live at work most of the day, and you need to feel happy about some part of it. I wasn't. And I worked for that firm for 4 years before I gave my notice. And yeah, that's kind of the work thing.
Pause. When you were at 2 weeks in and you were like, oh shit, it's the same thing, it's a different place, right? Like different name on different old men's names on the door, but
That's right.
woo, different old dead men.
With all dead men on the door.
Ooh, can you tell I love law firm life?
Yeah.
Okay, so different old dead men's name on the door.
Uh-huh.
2 weeks in, how long, and you knew it was toxic, how long did you expect to be there at that job?
I didn't know. It was something that I didn't even think about. It was something that I didn't even think about making a change, because I had gone through so many changes during that time of a separation, a divorce, leaving a big giant house with 2 kids and a dog, and the whole 9 yards. So I didn't think that this was something that I was going to be able to change. However, I was looking for a way to decrease my cost of living, and that's how I found Stephanie Perry. And with Stephanie Perry, who started coming into my world? You, Rashida. And they were talking about these things, and then and that's when the bug got in my head. Something's got to change.
Something's got to change. Okay, so what I really am trying to figure out is, I'll ask this a different way. When you decided to make a move and leave the job in August, did you already have another job lined up, or did you walk out on faith?
I hurriedly found a remote position. And that took only 2 weeks when I decided to do that.
This is the point I was going. I was like, I think.
I'm sorry.
No, not to you, but to everybody else. Okay. This is where I was trying to take the conversation.
Okay.
4 years of this is not working for me. And when you decided to look for another job, it took you 2 weeks.
It only took me 2 weeks. It took me and a serious shift that, along with some pointers on how to do it.
So for anyone out there who's in a job that is like, I cannot go back another day, take the time, do the job search, put your all into it, get pointers into how to do the job search. Livia Jones is great for that. I'll drop a link to her remote ready bundle. Let me find that. Because she gives really great pointers. If you're looking for a remote job, if you are not looking, Kathy, I want to be fair. There probably weren't as many remote jobs available 4 years ago. But 4 years ago, you didn't need a remote job. 4 years ago, you just needed to get out, right?
That's right. That's right.
And before that, you needed to get out too. And
that's right.
I'm not going to criticize your timing, because you were we're all going through a lot, and sometimes you need stability, and sometimes that stability is a job you hate. But you know who the asshole in the office is, right? Like, you know who you got to avoid.
That's right.
You know when your boss is going to be in a bad mood. And so there can be some comfort in staying there because you know what to expect, especially if there's a lot of change in your life.
That's right.
But for those of you that are ready for change, don't be scared. Don't be scared.
Don't be scared.
Don't be scared. It took Kathy 2 weeks. 2 weeks.
It took me 2 weeks to find it. And I did like this serious happy dance. Because I didn't think it was going to happen, and it did. And it was only because I couldn't I couldn't imagine staying any longer
Right.
and relocating myself back to New York because I was not allowed. Yeah, because I moved during the pandemic from New Jersey to Atlanta, and so and they were telling me to come back. And I was like, "Oh no,
I even like you.
oh, no.
I don't want to come in from New Jersey to New York. Atlanta, New York doesn't make sense.
No!" And so, you know, there are a number of things. So it's been a lot of transition, but I think that if you want something really, if you want something, you, you can find it. You can do it. There's, we talk about fear quite often in these circumstances, but fear was actually the thing that pushed me. It was the thing that, and I think fear does that to some people. Sometimes fear causes people to lay back. Some people run when they're fearful or find some direction to go to. And I didn't feel fear. I just felt that I had to make a change.
Okay. All right. So you made the change, got
Mhm.
the remote job. Is it a work from anywhere job, or do you need to be in the US? What kind of
Yeah,
remote?
unfortunately, I haven't found that yet, because I'm
All
gonna
right.
find that.
Right?
I'm
You
gonna
will.
find it. I'm
You're
gonna
gonna keep
find it.
you're gonna find it. It's gonna happen.
That's
So
gonna
you
happen.
need to be in the US,
I have to be in the U.S. Correct?
but you can work from anywhere in the US.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Hmm.
That's nice.
Yeah.
So you got the job
Hmm.
in, is that August or is it
It was September.
September when you got the job?
Mhm.
And then how much later were you on a sabbatical? Walk us through that. How?
Okay. Well, I was working on my sabbatical with you. We had come up with a timeline. In your course, I came up with a timeline. My timeline was actually going to be March of 2022. I decided I'm going to make it January. I'm just going to move it. I changed it, and I also my thinking in those that I was going to be able to do 6 months really, and that changed due to some family issues. So I shortened it to 3 months. So from January to March is when I took the sabbatical. And prior to that, prior to leaving work, I was trying to do all the things that I needed to do to be able to take the sabbatical.
Okay. All
Mhm.
right. So when you left in January, so you got the job in September.
Mhm.
Now, did you did you actually take time off from the job, or did you quit? What was that?
I asked the contract ended in
Okay.
January. Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
The contract ended in January, so you went for 3 months, and now you're starting work again. I think you said next week.
Mhm. Yes. This coming week. And
A
it's the same, it's
company.
a new contract,
Okay.
same type of work I've done. Except I can move around.
Okay.
I can bop around in the United States
Okay.
until I find something
Okay, fine.
internationally.
And you're not done looking.
No. Mm-mm.
Okay. All right.
Mm-mm. No.
So, how long is this new contract?
It's it's probably, well, I don't have, they didn't have a date on it. I don't have a date on it.
Okay.
And I'm thinking it will probably end in 6 months.
Okay. Are you're doing the same kind of work, which makes me wonder if you're working for the same kind of people.
Um, it's interesting. I am the last group of people that I worked with it was a different vibe.
Okay.
It's smooth. But I have no idea
Coming
what
up.
this will be.
Okay.
And yeah, but I can leave.
I mean, once you leave once, it's so much easier to leave again.
That's right.
It's truly like once you
Yeah.
own that the thought that like we own the idea
Yeah.
that you don't need like the job you might need incoming money, right?
That's
Like we all got bills to pay.
right. That's right.
Money must be spent, right?
That's right.
I need you might need money,
Hmm.
but you probably don't need that job. That job that's stressing you
That's
out
right. That's
and giving
right.
you a hard time, demeaning you, underpaying you, that's not the
Hmm.
job you need,
Yeah.
right? You need
Yeah.
money.
That's right.
You don't need that job. And so
That's
once you hold on to that and you know that you have skills, you can go into the marketplace, you can get other jobs.
right.
It's so much easier to job search when you know
Yes,
the job.
it is. It is. It is easier to job search, and it's easy. It's what I'm doing is creating. I am creating something for myself so that I
Okay.
don't have to depend on you know that. So
Let's talk about that. So when was Wellside Retreats created?
Wellside Retreats was created originally as a blog
Okay.
and that was back in 2007 that I blogged off and on.
Okay.
2018 is when it became a transformational destination retreat business.
Okay.
And when it was to take people on girlfriend, weekends, trips. And then it transformed. When I say transformed, it became more what I consider to be more meaningful for women who were going through some type of change in their lives. This all started from a girlfriend's weekend that I took with my sister out in Arizona. And I met up with her and two other women, and I didn't know them. And everybody had their own story and had something that they were working through. And so I built Wellside Retreats after that girlfriend's weekend.
Okay.
And I kept thinking about how that trip was transformational for me. And so I am doing that work. It's had a lot of hiccups, um, and I'm pivoting on how I provide retreats and what they will look like. And it's a different model. And you have inspired that. Um, so yeah, so that's how I'm working, and I'm collaborating with the people to do various themed retreats. Had some problems due to pandemic, and have had to cancel two of them. But I'm feeling a lot comfortable and confident that this can work out. And it's not just retreats that I'm working toward. There are other things that I want to create and move out of the corporate sphere totally.
Mhm.
And I feel that I'll be able to do that now also. I've been inspired by so many people in our communities. There are a lot of communities where Black women are making changes in their lives, and I'm part of the communities, and and know that I can succeed too if I do the work. I have to do the work to do that and
Right.
work for myself. So
Right. So
yeah.
often people who are entrepreneurs and have a job put the work for themselves as like the sixth thing on the list, right? Like
Yes.
first there's the job because money must come in, right? First
Mhm.
there's the job. Then there is the like taking care of the home and then or the kids and then the home. And if you've got a husband, he's probably ahead of the job because I
Right.
hear they're a lot of work. I don't know, but I hear they are a lot of work.
Yeah, they
Um,
can be.
and then somewhere in the end is like maybe your business and then
Mhm.
yourself, right?
That's right.
And so it can be very hard to get your thing off the ground
Mhm.
while you're working. Remote work um, has working remotely given you a better opportunity to work on Wellside retreats?
Yeah, it has.
Okay.
Yeah. I've been able to make time for myself in during that time, um, and the fact, I haven't commuted in many years, um, but being able to just stay in one place, you gain some extra hours, extra time, and so that's what I capitalize on, is that extra time. Time is really key in all of this.
Were you
Mhm.
able to work on it during your sabbatical as well, or did you like stop doing all work during your sabbatical?
I didn't I what I did do, as far as part of what I consider my work, not Wellside, but um, I did a lot of writing. I'm
Okay.
writing a couple of books, and so I did most of that while on sabbatical. I did do some YouTube videos as part of Wellside Retreats platform, but it's really Kathy Hampton on YouTube, and yeah, so I did that and took time to do that.
Okay. Stephanie mentioned in the comments that you have a book club, which people can join at wellsideretreats.com. Stephanie's in the book club. I'm kind of in the book club, except I haven't read a book or two. You tell me what y'all are reading, and so I can make it and make it. It hasn't happened yet.
Yeah.
I'm in the book
That's okay. People sign up and they don't come, and it's okay. But I've had an increase in a number of people participating in the book club. I am going to be putting out the book for May today. I took a sabbatical from the book club, although we did read the other Black girl during the sabbatical that we talked about during that time. So yeah, I have a book club, and I like my book club. We
All
have
right.
fun
So
with it.
for people, I kind of want to, I want to ask what the book is, but I know you have your own ways of making of announcing things. I'm not, no pressure, but for
Okay.
people who want to get the announcement today of
Okay.
what the May book is, how do they find out? They go to your website and sign up?
Yes, they go to the website, wellsideretreats.care, and probably an hour after this is over, that book will be in there in the book club. Because I've been working on my website, so things are kind of wonky, but there is a book club tab that they can go to, and yeah, and please sign up to receive my my blog posts also.
Sign up and get your blog posts. And what are your
Yeah.
blog posts typically about?
Mostly about what I write about wellness, about, uh, well, lately I wrote about feeling comfortable in your own skin, how your body should feel in clothing, or, if you're gaining weight, pay attention to those signs and find what makes you feel comfortable. Anything wellness of body, mind, and spirit is what I initially wrote up about and writing about. Change. I also include the book club posts because I want to promote women sharing their stories, Black women sharing their stories, um, Black authors sharing their work is really key to, I believe, wellness. When also journaling, I talk about journaling, and I do have a workshop that will be coming up. I'm working on that. Um, so I talk about mental health, about women feeling going through changes and transformation. That's mindset is what I guess people call it nowadays, mindset topics, um, and patterns that we fall into, all of that kind of stuff.
Okay. So wellsideretreats.care to join the book club, sign up for her blog posts. You can get those emailed to them. Is that how they get them?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, they get through email.
And I mean, you're doing and working. You're doing. You're doing.
I
Um,
know.
Are you able to manage your workload now in a way that you don't feel like you'll face burnout in the future, managing your own thing and, you know, your contract?
Yes, yes. I feel good about it. I was able to do it before. What I do know that I need right now in my life is a place of my own.
Okay.
I've been living with family, and they've been generous enough to have me live with them, but I need a place of my own. I left an apartment, a very expensive apartment in Newark, New Jersey, but I do need a little space of my own. And I'm going to be moving towards that. And that's going to help me quite a bit do the things that I want to do, because I'm working toward relocation and abroad. And I want to be able to do that seamlessly, as well as work on the projects that I have for myself to
Okay.
create. Hmm.
So I heard
Yep.
what could sound like a lot going on to some people.
Oh,
I want to know if you have tips for managing. You went through a lot of change in the
hmm.
past,
Hmm.
and it sounded like some of that change held you in place, right? You went through a lot of changes, and so you kept some other things as they were. And now it sounds like you're going through a lot of changes, and they're different changes, but you're still going through changes,
Hmm.
and you seem a little freer than before, and a little bit like more open to change. Is it the different type of change, or are you just responding to change differently? Like, what do you think is different than the
Oh,
last time you went through a number of changes?
wow, that's a really good question. Yeah, that's a good question. I actually hadn't thought about that. Um, I think I'm comfortable with the changes that have occurred,
Mhm.
and the change that is I can manage it. I think it's manageable. I would like probably more. I've rested. I know what resting is now, and
Yep.
I like that. I really do. But I can manage what is coming ahead of me. I believe that I can manage that without feeling burnt out.
And is that because you've rested?
Yes, it's because I rested, and it's because of how, you know, I worked in the office with all that toxicity. Um, I found that working remotely, I don't see these people. I don't see the stuff. I'm doing the work that I am very good at doing,
Mhm.
and they they want me to continue doing this work, and they are appreciative. I'm not getting a lot of the uh, the weird stuff in the background. So I think that really zaps your energy. And the first contract that I worked on, I it wasn't zapping my energy at all. And I was able to do a lot. I was able to plan for the sabbatical. I was able to work on the projects that I wanted to work on. So I know that doing things with ease is very important, and I think I've found how to do that
Okay.
now.
All
Hmm.
right. That sounds really nice. It sounds
Yeah.
like rest was the key.
Hmm.
Leaving at least one toxic environment. Leaving at least one toxic environment,
Right, right.
but at least one.
Which one?
Um,
Yeah.
and resting and recovering set you
Hmm.
up for like a better future.
Yeah.
Take breaks, y'all. Take breaks. Take breaks. I don't know. Like, I don't know how else to say it. Like,
take a break.
take a break, y'all.
Take the naps.
Take the nap. Take a long nap. Take a 2-week nap. Tell your job you back when you get back.
When I first got to Portugal, it felt really good. You know, I get into this little loft apartment, and I didn't want to get up, like to go out, but my mind kept on saying, "Well, you're here. You got to go see the things." And my body was like, "No, you're just going to lay here." And then my mind started saying, "Yeah, you're going to lay here." And the body, it's like some kind of disconnect. But I listened to the resting, this whispering, like, just lay here.
So we talk about that in From Burnout to Bliss. We do.
Yes.
So the thing we talk about, and Kathy already mentioned, she was a student in From Burnout to Bliss, which is my group coaching program that helps people take career breaks and move abroad. But one of the things we talk about is the fact that when you go to a new place, a lot of us, because we're used to vacations, are hardwired to do all the things. And so when you don't do all the things, frequently your mind is like, oh, you're wasting your time. Like this rest, even if you're at home, sometimes rest can feel like wasting your time. There's something you should be doing. You should be building a bird cage. You should be writing autobiography. Like, even no matter what, you should be, if you don't go see the top 20 tourist exhibits in Lisbon today,
right?
Like, why did you even go to Lisbon?
Right.
Because I wanted to, right? Like, and so for people who are used to go, it's really hard to step back and to relax and to just truly do nothing.
Right.
And so you have to, like, before you get in that position, you have to give yourself permission.
Yes.
No. So when I was on my career break, and the reason I know this happens is because it happened to me and I thought something was extremely wrong. I was like, I must be so depressed. Like, I don't feel bad, but I must be so depressed because, like, I cannot get out of bed. But I was traveling to a new city every week, so I was tired. I was legitimately, like, exhausted. I remember I got to, I think it was Barcelona, and I was like Googling Googling all these things I should do. And I didn't leave my room for like 4 days. I think I think I left once for food, and the rest of the time I always travel with snacks. And so I had all these snacks in my suitcase, and I was like, beef jerky for dinner, sure. Like, I don't even have the energy to get up and go. And so then I decided to extend my stay in Barcelona because I was only going to be there for, I think, like the 4 days. And then I was able to get up and move about. But those first few days, I felt like I could not leave the bed. And it almost felt like failure. Like, you're here, you're supposed to be doing something, right? You're supposed to be doing. And a lot of that, I think, is because we're used to what vacation feels like. And then some of it also is like your expectations and other people's expectations piled on top, because, like, people are going to want to talk to you about, oh, you went there, you must have seen this. And, like, when you're like, nah, I just slept. Like, that's
you paid all that money to sleep.
Yes, that's an interesting conversation to have. But you have to, like, when you're going on a break, when you're taking a sabbatical, career break, whatever that is, if rest is part of your plan, you have to rest. And what I frequently hear people do is they decide that they have to do a new project. And so they go straight from work to new project.
Right.
They'll say things. One of my students, I don't know if she's here today. Hey, girl, hey. I'm not going to say her name, but she's like, I'm going to take my break. And I'm going to go. She's a professor. Her college would pay for it if she went to a certain city and did research and blah, blah, blah. And she was going to be without her. Like, the break for her was without her kids. She's going to travel somewhere and be there without her kids. When we talked about the break, it was, and then I'm going to do all this research and writing. And I'm like, for work? Like, that's not it sounds like a break because you've gone somewhere new and you've left some responsibilities behind. But like, if the main part of your job is researching and writing in a different country is not a break. Like, that's not
Nope.
and like it took like us having this conversation for her to be like, oh, you're right. That's not like, it sounds when you plan it out,
Sure,
like a break to her. Like, these kids are gone. I'm in a different city that I love. I was like, but you're working. And so it's even, you can trick yourself into thinking you're taking a break when you're not really resting or taking a break. And so it's important that if you want to plan a sabbatical that is about rest and relaxation, that you actually build it in. One of the things I mentioned before when I was on my career break, when I realized that like I'd been going too much, I gave myself permission to only leave the house wherever I was staying every other day. So, and that's like, if I want to stay in bed all day one day or on the couch and just get food delivered or eat whatever I had for leftovers yesterday, that's fine. Like, but the next day, get up, even if you just walk around the block, get up, put some clothes on and walk around the block, right? And then, like, maybe you see something that takes you somewhere else because I have nothing to do. It's like, maybe I follow my feet in some direction. I see something fancy that I want to see, or maybe I don't. Like, I don't have to do anything on a list, but I had to like get up, and so that I wasn't in the house for like 6 days in a row, because I can also trend that way, right? I can trend. You went to 6 different countries and all you did was watch Netflix in all of them? Like, no, like, I know myself. I had to create that balance of like, rest. One day I actually go outside and see what's out there. And it doesn't have to be fancy, but it has to be something. Go to the grocery store. That was all I did today. That was fine. It was outside, right?
That's right.
Next door. That's fine.
That's right.
And so when you're planning your sabbatical, if you want it to be what you expect, you actually have to plan for what you want your days to be, right?
Yes.
Your days can be, if you don't plan the rest, y'all type A personalities have a rest. If you do not plan the rest, you will not rest. You will find a way to fill your time, and it's going to be busy. So, Kathy, before you decided to rest, what were you filling your time doing?
It was funny. That's good. So I didn't actually put rest on the list. I didn't. It put itself on the list. And but what I had put on the list was to see the things. I stopped and started this all in Sintra with all the castles and all the beautiful buildings and stuff like that. And I also wanted to see any library that was there. As a librarian, you want to stop off to see the libraries. I do that.
It sounds so work adjacent, right? It sounds like, I know that it's something you like, but it's also like it's work adjacent.
I know. When I go in there, and then I was like, I'm walking through, and I'm like, I know what a library looks like. Why am I in here? I've seen so many of them. And I was interested, of course, in the food and the drink. And I decided that I was gonna go to at least 1 or 2 restaurants a week in the evening, for dinner, and cook the rest of the time. And I pretty much stuck to that. In Portugal, the food, I'm going to tell you, the food is not yummy. I did find that I had, what is it, bacalhau? I don't know how many times, in different versions of it. The first one, though, was bacalhau Brás, so Brazilian influence. And it turned out that there was a a black chef woman chef in the kitchen who made it the first night that I ate out. And so I started comparing different bacalaos. Just
So I don't even know what bacalao is.
it's codfish. It's a codfish mixed with potato. Some people put rice in it, herbs, but it is and it's not supposed to be salty. Codfish is usually
saltfish.
dried salt. Yeah, but yeah, and then you get it with the side of veggies or whatever. But the dish itself it can be formed in a little patty with mixture, like a kind of a casserole. And my daughter said, "Mom, you've had that before." I said, "No, I hadn't," and she let me know that I had, but this tasted different, and it was good. But um, but then yeah, and they seem to put an egg on things, like.
Why'd you say it like that, Kathy?
Because okay, I ordered. I'm sorry, I make faces, but I just didn't understand. I asked for a hamburger,
And there was an egg on it?
and it was no bread and egg.
You
I
said there
didn't
was
know it was
bread?
open face, like no bread. It was just the patty,
It was just a patty and an egg?
egg, and then some French fries or potatoes. Potato.
Okay. Okay. Okay, so people in the comments, let us know if you had a hamburger. Did Kathy wander into a strange place? Because I need to know.
Yes. Now there are hamburger places.
Yes.
There are hamburger places that are, inspired by the regular hamburger sandwich.
Right.
But quite often you find meals with the egg. Like there's a steak dish, and I thought I was going to get the steak, and they asked, "What do I want on the side?" I said, "Patat," steak and potatoes, meat and potatoes. Out comes the steak with the egg on top, sunny side. Yeah.
Ooh.
So I had some. So I did not mind cooking for myself.
Okay.
I did not mind going to the market, getting those fresh vegetables, and of course, and everybody does the whole. You do the cafe thing. You do the cafe thing. I think the best dish that I would say I had was very flavorful was when I went to Angolan restaurant after a tour, the African Lisbon tour, and that was very good. I don't even remember what it was, but it was good. It was flavorful. So yeah, the seasoning is a lot of fresh food, and the freshness is what I believe people experience.
Okay.
It's not
Seasoning.
I know food. So I don't know, Rashida, how you would.
All right. I'm gonna Portugal just sank a notch on my list. Remember, I saw Anne Marie was in Portugal as well, and she talked about the food, how she couldn't get good food. Yeah. I wasn't sure why it wasn't good, but I think you just helped me out with that. Which I guess leads me to my next question, which is, we talked about moving abroad and your future plans. Is Portugal part of your move abroad plan?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
You'll get an egg on everything.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to yeah, figure that whole food thing out. I guess I'm gonna be eating quite a bit. Although there are some new restaurants that are coming. There are restaurants that are not Portuguese, people of other nationalities who are coming up. I believe opening up restaurants in Lisbon at least. But I'm interested in Porto. I really like Porto quite a bit. I did like, you eat a lot of seafood in Portugal, because that's what, they have is a lot of seafood. But yeah, Porto was magical to me, in and around Porto.
What was it about Porto?
It was calm. It was really peaceful. It's, the cities of in Portugal are kind of gritty, but they're artsy. Um, I've really felt really comfortable there. Lots to see, lots to do. I could say that about any place, but there was just something. It was a feeling. Is what I tell people is I felt good there.
Okay.
Um, yeah, I felt good there. Walking home at night, the the people were kind. I became kind of a local at a couple places,
Okay.
and I don't know, it just felt good, and it was near the water. There's a neighborhood that I like that's near the water. That right now is not too pricey, that I could possibly afford by the time I get there 6 to 9 months from now. I
Oh,
don't
that quickly.
know. We'll see. We'll
Yeah.
see.
Are
And it's easy to get in and out of the towns in Portugal by train, bus, getting to Spain. And one of the things that I really want to do is to have a base and travel throughout Europe, because I'm new to this whole traveling game. It's not a game, but this lifestyle, and that would afford me the ability to do that on that western part of
right.
Europe. Yeah.
Okay. Are
Mhm.
you going to attempt to get residency in Portugal?
Yes. Uh-huh.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right. And do you are you working with someone on the process?
I am not. I'm just beginning. Since Exodus Summit and the Portugal, a lot of people use the person that you all um, used. You had as a speaker for the
Mhm.
Portugal residency, and I'm considering using her.
Okay, I'm
Um,
dropping the link to that workshop right now for anyone who wants to. We did a workshop last spring on getting residency
in
in
Portugal.
Portugal, one about Mexico, and one
Mhm.
about France. And
Yeah.
so if you want to get residency in any of those countries, there's a workshop for it, and we give you resources in there. So
Mhm.
the link is right there. Um, I think a lot of people liked working with her.
Yeah.
So, residency in Portugal in 6 to 9 months, and you're going to have a job that allows you to work from anywhere. And Wellside Retreats is going to be booming. So, what else do you see? What else can we expect to see in your future?
Ooh. I'm writing more. I just published a journal.
Hmm.
It's in Kindle. But first that I had on the back burner since 2018, I kind of erected it. And so I'm going to start doing the things that I thought I could never do, like, that I would never get done. And it hasn't been approved yet. But I'm going to be writing more, publishing more stuff, um, really speaking about the things that are important, um, I believe, to women my age. And, not that I'm old or anything, but people who have experienced, kind of this cycle of things that we do. We go to college, we get married, we have children, all of those things. We work. I'll be speaking about from the standpoint of wellness, and being talking about the tough things that no one wants to talk about, especially in my generation, and that includes mental health issues, or family issues, and uh, caregiving, talking about divorce, talking about money. Nobody wants to really talk about that. It's uncomfortable. Um, uh, yeah, doing those things, and writing about them as well, and then actually having some fun. Think about that. People we talk about all these things that we have to kind of like do, but we don't talk about having fun and being silly or we're just kind of uptight. So talking about having fun and enjoying ourselves and being finding happiness. Yeah. So that's what we can expect from I can expect from myself and everyone else can too.
I love it. I love
Yeah.
it. You mentioned earlier that transitioning back to the US was hard. Can you
Mhm.
walk us through what that looked like for you and why it was hard?
Yeah. Yeah. I think it was probably the month. Yeah, I was 4 weeks before leaving, and I started feeling like, whoa, this has gone so fast. I don't want it to stop. I was having fun. I was having fun meeting people, I'm very curious. There was more things I wanted to see, but I also wanted to rest. I don't want to stop resting. I don't want to stop seeing the things. I don't want to and so that was hard because what coming home um reminded me of was the things that I had to do that maybe I don't want to do. I don't really want to work remotely. I I don't really want that. That was what I have to pay the bills. And working to um, get myself continue to get myself financially secure. That's a work in process, um, as well as just the climate here in the United States. It's not healthy. It's not healthy, and um, I let my mother know. I said, we really need to get you out walking and going places. And people are afraid of going outside, walking, enjoying what's around them. People stay indoors quite often. The other day, I decided to find my way to a print shop. And I walked down the street in this neighborhood in Atlanta and found a really nice little fresh food, vegetable, kind of vegan store. And it was really nice. There were young people working there, I think from, Morehouse and Spelman. I don't know. But it was the first time that I had really taken a walk like I would have walked in Portugal.
Mhm.
And it was really good, but you don't see many people out doing that. I went out with my niece one day and went to a large park, Prospect Park, and there was no one there. No one is out. No one's enjoying what is available to them. At least, and I think people are working. People are working indoors or they're working in offices. You know, um, it's different. It's a different vibe. It's not cheerful. Uh, it's not it's not enticing. It doesn't make you want to be here. And that's what I knew when I was there in Portugal, was how I was going to feel coming back. Um, it's just my perspective, but I don't listen to the news. I'm told the news by people, and the news isn't good. So yeah, I would rather be somewhere else.
That for me, that's almost one of the best things about not being in the US is like you're not inundated with American news, right?
Yeah,
Like I have to seek out the news if I want to see it. It's not like every place I walk into has the news. You know what I mean? Like you walk
yeah,
into a restaurant and all the TVs have the news on, or
yes,
yeah, like it's you know.
yeah.
And to your point, it's never good news. It's never like, yay,
No, it's nothing. It's
love
not.
forgiven, right? Like it's nothing like it's never like that.
No, it's
It's
not good
like
news.
debating stuff. Never
Yeah.
happened.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's some questions in the comments.
Oh.
Quite a few about your age. Not specifically your age. We're looking for generation. What generation are
Oh,
you?
okay. I'm a late boomer. I'm almost at the end of I'm 58. I'll be 59 in June. And yeah, I believe and I think yeah, I'm not sure. I shouldn't assume the question had to do my age and the women that I believe are that I speak to. But yeah, I think that people around my age are a little. They haven't had fun, like I'm seeking,
Yeah.
or you know what? Maybe I just don't know them. That could be it.
So the women that you write to on your blog are what age? What age range would you say
I'm
they are?
I'm gonna say I'm gonna say 45 and up.
Okay.
Really, yeah. I
Um,
say 50 plus, but I think it could be 45 because these women have had either families or single mothers, have had are in the sandwich generation where you were a caregiver to your children and your mother, or something like that. I'm an auntie who was an auntie and a mother to her niece for a period of time. So yeah, people who have done a lot of stuff and have not taken care of themselves or um, haven't loved on themselves a lot.
okay. All right.
Um, yeah. Mhm.
Okay. And your book club, there an age range in there, or is that open
Oh
to?
no, anybody can come.
Okay.
Anybody can come,
Whether you've read the book or not,
whether you read the book or not.
just come
I'm
to.
trying to because what comes out of the book club is or the discussion is a topic that anyone can chime in on. It doesn't have to be about the book itself. The last book we read, The Other Black Girl, there are a lot of issues that we discussed about the characters,
Mhm.
the character flaws. Yeah, so everyone could chime in, even if they hadn't read the book.
Okay. Perfect.
Hmm. Yeah.
And I got a list of questions for you. Oh, okay.
What? Uh oh.
Who is Kathy after her sabbatical, and how is she different from Kathy before her sabbatical?
Oh wow. Wow. You're doing some really good questions. It's,
Hi.
okay, this is really good because I talk about self-awareness quite often in my blogs or in discussion. And what I realized was Kathy before the sabbatical was not as confident as Kathy is now.
Okay.
Mhm.
And what do you think created that confidence shift?
Because I did it.
Oh, the act of taking the time. Okay.
The planning, the because I'm going to tell you, and I think I may have mentioned this to you that in a I don't know, in a survey or whatever, what your course did was I was a little anxious coming into it. Like, how can I do this? How can I do this a sabbatical? And the course initially starts off so calming. And I was like, I literally took a deep breath. I was in this house, this is my sister's home, and I started the course and I was like, whoa, this is good. I can do this. I think that things that, you know, people think they can't do, they really can do. And I felt confident after I did all of this. And when I was in right before leaving, I said to myself, I did this. I did this. I'm gonna tear up. But I did that. And it was something that I didn't think that I could do. And it happened. It worked out. So I became more confident in a number of things. I did this on my own. I did it by myself. I went out and I met people. I opened myself up to possibilities. There's one thing I'm not quite comfortable about, and that's a topic of discussion in the communities, I call it, and that's dating. But I did all of the things that I wanted to do and more, and I surprised myself. So that's what I did. That's confidence is who I am now. More confident.
I love that. And now you're gonna make me cry.
I'm sorry. I did not mean to do this. Mm, yeah.
Hi, y'all. I
Mm.
I love this for you, Kathy. I love that you were brave, right? You said your first solo trip out of the country
Yeah.
for 3 weeks, right? And then another one for 3 months. So you did the hard part, you did the work. I'm glad I was able to help facilitate some of that along the way. But like you had it inside of you. You did that, right? Like you did the hard parts. And
Right.
now look at you. Look at you. Out here living your best life, making plans.
Yeah, making more plans.
More
And
plans.
it has to happen. There's no going back, in other words.
Right.
There's no going back.
Right.
And I want that for other people. I wrote I wrote not I didn't write about it. I unpacked the sabbatical, and I posted quite a bit when I was gone. Um, and it wasn't to brag or boast. It was really to tell people you can do this too. I got a lot of comments, or why are you doing this? What's this all about? It's not about me. It wasn't about me. It was really about, wow, see what you can do. See what others are doing. And there are some people that I know who are stuck in places. And so me showing that was really a demonstration of what is available to
Yeah.
others.
And you'll inspire people every time you talk about it, right? People, a lot of us are resistant to things we don't know, right? So a
Right.
lot of people are going to initially be resistant to it, but when they are open to the idea, they'll
Right.
remember you and your example. They'll remember that.
Mhm.
And Kathy didn't do it because she's an extraordinary person. Kathy did it because
Right.
she believed in herself and she did the work and she got the
Mhm.
experience that she wanted.
Right.
Now, I mean, like 3 years ago, could you have imagined living in Portugal?
No.
And now look at you.
No way.
Look at this.
No way. No. I was decluttering.
Which is a step on the spectrum. So you were on your way without even knowing you were on
I
your
was
way.
the never ending decluttering.
Yes.
I'm still decluttering. In fact, yeah, I'll be doing that for the next 2 days, I think. But yeah, no way would I think that I was going to even consider that. And yeah, it's going to happen.
It's going to happen. And
Mhm.
you're going to
Yeah,
inspire other people.
that's right.
It's really amazing that you were able to do this and that you can look at yourself and see what is different from before. So
Mhm.
besides confidence, is there anything else? Or do you think that's like that's the main thing?
Confidence, and then just opening up to, I guess it's all related to confidence, but opening up to differences. Opening, and I'm doing that when I opening up to differences. Um, the environments, we have this the model place to live these days in the United States is in a subdivision with, planned um, architecture, and, and I can appreciate what I saw there, and how people live. And it turned out to be such beautiful places that, people are living, how people are living, how they're going about their daily lives. Um, yeah, I'm happy that I've opened up to differences. Even that egg on top of the food. I mean, I
All
don't
the
know.
differences. You'll be eating soon. You're gonna be like, I can't remember life before eggs came. Egg on my steak, of course.
Sure, I'll have that.
Yeah, as ready as possible. Yes. So, I understand
Oh,
what you're saying though about differences. Growing up in California, when
yes.
I went back east, and when I go to like Europe or anywhere else, go I'm not even gonna mention like going to like some places in Africa like Egypt, but like
Yeah.
going anywhere where growing up in Southern California, going anywhere where the buildings are over 50 years old, it's like, oh wow, y'all were really living here. Like, ooh, this was built in 16 what? Like we just didn't have that in Southern California. We had suburbs and malls, right?
Right,
And
right.
so even that part of just being like, oh, your church has been around since no, like I've never, I, I don't know when I first saw a building that was like super, super old, but I remember
Right,
like, oh, this is different. This is different,
right.
right?
Yeah,
This,
yeah, it is. It's like really different, and I mean, walk into a church and they're still worshiping in it, but it looks like it's gonna fall down. But it's beautiful.
yes. And some
It's
of them look like they're gonna fall down, but they're like gilded with gold. I'm
right.
like a lot of money was put into this like 2 centuries ago.
Yeah, we're just gonna let it fall down. We are not tearing this down. It's a thing.
The other day, Billy and I went to a church, and it was
Uh-huh.
old and raggedy. There's a body of a famous conquistador in a wall,
Oh,
and it's
stop
like,
it.
listen, we were like, what's happening? And then there was another body in the back, like visible body in the back. And we were
Yeah,
like, this is
yeah,
interesting. Like
yeah,
it's the idea that like you don't know what you're missing. You're
yeah.
not missing anything. Like none of us are missing anything. We have
Right, right,
as
right,
long as you're fed and you're
right.
safe and you have a place to stay, you're not missing. If you're people are missing. I don't want to say that. I want to say this incorrectly. There are people who are missing things. But experiences aren't really things you're missing or you don't know that you're missing until you actually have them, right?
Have them.
You
That's
have
right.
them and you learn how big the world is. You learn that there are so many. You
Yes,
learn that there are buildings built before like 1930, right? Like,
exactly.
it takes sometimes going somewhere else to know that. Like if someone from I don't know, if someone from Porto came to where I grew up in Riverside, California, I'm sure they'd be like, but
Where's
where,
yeah,
where's the everything, right?
yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah.
not that one is better than the other. It's just that you don't know what to expect.
Right. Mm-hmm.
There's nothing that can prepare you for doing that.
Yeah.
So doing that and doing that alone is
Right.
is a really big choice. And it sounds like for you it was a life-changing choice.
Yes, I will say that it was. I thought, I've traveled a lot as a former Army brat. And as an adult, moved around quite a bit, even, with my children. But to go outside of the country and to see older, you know, parts of the country, even in Mexico, you know, was really life changing. Only because, you know, you hear things on some news channels or people's perspectives, and they're so slanted. You really have to get out to adopt your own perspective, I believe, on places. Now, I will never buy into, you know, some negativity about something until maybe I experience it. I don't believe. I think, you know, I'm not going to be foolish and, you know, go go someplace where, you know, there's a war or anything like that. But I'm talking about cultural differences and what people um, perceive of another place until I experience it. So yeah, it's very eye opening, and it's growth. Anyone can grow at a different at different ages. You know, I am growing as a 58-year-old woman who's had a lot of experience, but there's more that I can experience, more that I can see, more that I want to see, more that I want to know. And it doesn't, I don't need to know about the trending topics because their business and my business is too much business on these, you know. I think the craziest thing that happened in the United States right before I left was the slap heard around the world. And I was like, you know what? I just can't, I can't get excited about it. I can't get mad about it. I can't even discuss it. I don't know. I don't, what is it? Why is it important?
Yeah.
You know?
I,
And they
I,
got, and those people got more money than I do and can, and there's, you know,
I was just like, oh, those are rich people problems. Like I was
hey, tell me
like,
about it.
when
Yeah.
I get invited to the Oscars to be in the audience, then I'll consider what this slap means. Otherwise, it doesn't mean anything. So it was funny because I was with a friend who was visiting Mexico City
Mhm.
when that happened. And she's talking about how like great it was because she wasn't watching the news and she'd been down here and she felt so much lighter and freer. And which a lot of us feel when we're not
Yeah.
watching American news. But then she went on Facebook and
Yes.
have a slap, and I lost her for the rest of the night. Like she was in, I lost her at least like 10 minutes. She was gone.
Wow.
And then we said goodbye.
Wow.
Like, but it was like night was wrapping up. But she literally was like, "Wait,
Yeah.
what's going? This really happened?" And she's like, "This really happened." And I was like, "Oh, okay, all right." But it's hard to get out of feeling like the things that happen in America are central to
Yes.
your life and to the world, right? America is a very self-important country. And so Americans in general tend to center America
Hmm.
in the world, right?
Yes.
And so even when I'm like down here, people will say things that I'm like, I don't know. Like if I get on Twitter, I might find out something, but I'm not there seeking out news or trying.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
and so feeling honestly like if I knowing what I know now, if I was in America, I think that's the first thing I would do was like try to avoid news at all costs.
Yeah.
Like it's important to know what's going on, but
Mhm.
like the way the news has devolved now, it's like that's not that's not. I don't need this.
Mm-mm.
I don't need this.
No,
Maybe
it's
like 10 minutes once a week, right? Like I don't need more of
right. Right.
that. But it's hard to get away from. It's hard.
It
It's
is hard.
for what we get.
Hmm. Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about your um, let's talk a little about your planning process. So,
Okay.
what two questions you can
Hmm.
answer as you choose fit. What was the hardest part of the planning process for you? And what did you not plan for that you should have planned for?
Hmm. Hmm. Initially, okay, yeah, the hardest, I think, not because, I read maps, looked at maps, but really knowing where I was geographically
Mm-hmm.
was a concern because I I was going to have to move around. So I thought initially okay. First of all, I was advised by a Portuguese language teacher to stay outside of the city center so much so that I could utilize the language. Well, I did. I started in Sintra, but I thought Sintra was farther away from Lisbon than it really is. It's not that far. And then I also realized that those people speak English very well because it's a tourist location.
Mm-hmm.
So not knowing really the distances from the maps that I looked at, and then I used the tools. I used was it was it
From
called
to Rio?
Rome to Rio, which was a great to use. I also yes, it was great to use because it told me different trains and all the different types of transportation. But just knowing the distances really kind of threw me off. I was closer to things than I anticipated, which was good, but I would have planned differently had I known. I would have gone further out
Okay.
uh, into more, probably more rural areas or the countryside if I had known that Central was not that far from. Anyhow, it all worked out. Um, I didn't. So I didn't plan that. I was really good, just as like I was good at planning for Mexico with my budgeting. I was pretty spot on. I say I probably ate out a little more than I um, told myself I was. Um, I yeah. The other part was, I guess, the hills were the was another thing. Um, in Sintra, I was almost I felt stuck a little bit because if I didn't walk early enough to get up to certain hills in darkness was something that I was not going to do. So I had to take, a cab or something. Um, so the hills can make or break you depending on what you do. So you have to plan for how you're going to get places. And then when I went to Lisbon, I found a neighborhood. Luckily, I this neighborhood was not that hilly. It was away from quite a few of the larger hills in the center, but it was really manageable. So that helped. So, but the hills could be a problem if you didn't know about them as extensively as
That's
I was.
actually a really good point. And I want to flesh that out a little further for our
Mhm.
audience. So our baby boomers, our early Gen Xers, all of our Gen Xers. I'm gonna talk to you Gen Y in a second too, because you're gonna be feeling it soon. It's important that you understand the streetscapes. I'm gonna call them
Mhm.
streetscapes.
Yes.
Going.
Yeah.
So um, a lot of these older towns, the hill, like Southern California, they flattened it all out.
That's
They
right.
flattened it all out before they built, so you don't have those hills. They didn't do that back in the day in Lisbon, so so you got hills, right? Um, you have the hills because they didn't flatten things out to make them more even
Right.
before they built. Some places have terrible sidewalks. Mexico
That's
City,
right.
love it on my heart. It has terrible sidewalks,
Mhm.
right? Like
Yeah.
you can easily, if you have any kind of mobility issues, it's not a great city for you. It's not a great city for you to walk in. Public transportation, whether that's a bus or an Uber, are pretty easy to get. So you don't have to walk a lot,
Right.
but they're there. Like I have seen things and been like, wait, how does someone not like break an ankle here every day? Like, what's going on?
Right.
A lot of places you have to think about what are the allowances and the modifications that are made for people with disabilities. Our good friend Disabled Diva was in Mexico City the other day, and her hotel had stairs up the front, big stairs at the front, and a service elevator to the street. That was the only way. So she always had to go in and out of the service elevator because she couldn't do the stairs.
Wow.
Some places might not even have that service elevator, right? A lot of the older buildings in Europe aren't going to have an elevator. So if they say if you're on the third floor, it's really the fourth.
That's right.
They're not going to have an elevator. And if you have a heavy suitcase, you're going to be dragging that up by yourself. A lot of cities have cobblestone streets that will be hard to walk on. So you've got to think about or get as much information ahead of time about what those streets look like, because some of them are not going to be good for what you need. So for me, because of my knee surgery, cobblestone streets, I need flat, right? Like I can see the tree roots messing up the sidewalks here. You know what I'm talking about, messing up the sidewalks here. So I can walk around them, but if I've got to walk over lots of cobblestones and my ankles keep, you know how they go, your feet, cobblestones, take me down.
Yeah.
And so I would say that for a lot of us, this is something that we need to be thinking about. It's not something that you would naturally think about, I don't think, but in a lot of these places, the same requirements that exist in America to make sure that there are curb cuts and other things that help if you're in a wheelchair aren't going to exist. A lot of these, you can't get from the main street to my front door in Mexico City in a wheelchair without being in the street.
Wow.
At least some of the main streets you can. I can direct you on some main streets.
Yeah.
One where it's like, baby, you just gonna have to be in the streets because first of all, half the sidewalks don't have curb cuts, and the other half of them, there's like a tree. They built the sidewalk around a tree and just left the tree right in the middle. Like, okay. And so it's something to think about. It's not something that we think about a lot, but it is something to think about when you're planning your future destinations.
Right.
What mobility concerns do you have? Right.
Yeah.
And you don't need to be, I said I was going to say this to the Gen Y, to the baby boomers and Gen X's, but you don't need to be in that generation to have mobility concerns. So this kind of
yeah, exactly. And so I did. I posted I have a blog about the shoes that I took with me. I did not take any heels this time. I did take some to Mexico, but I didn't wear them. And a Merrill boot shoe, a hiking shoe, and a really sturdy pair of boots that could be worn in all weather, some flats, and a pair of tennis shoes that I ended up ditching because they were old and I didn't need them anymore, and I got another pair of walking shoes. But yeah, it's really important, and I learned that with the hills, proper shoes. I had health insurance, had this insurance, but I was not doing a leg thing, a hurting of the leg while away, because that would have, So yeah, it's very important.
Oh, yeah, LLO mentions that in most countries, the pedestrians do not have the right of way. Child, these cars will be like, I see you, I will still hit you. They complain. And I mean, it matters. I mean, I feel like drivers most of the time do not want to hit you, but they also want to go where they're going. Here,
Yeah.
you could have a green light, a car that's turning right on a red is still going to try to take precedence over you. And because they are larger, I usually give them like, sure, I'm not getting hit by a car because I refuse to get out the right. Like, go ahead.
Yeah.
I have the green light, you have the red light, but sure, go ahead. Whatever.
Portugal. The places that I was in Portugal, they stopped for people, and I
Okay.
thought there was something wrong, and I was like, "Oh, they're stopping for me." Yeah, I was happy to see that. I'm gonna say 95% of the time that happened, even when I was not walking in the crosswalk.
Okay.
So that was a good thing.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Here, not so much. You
Yeah.
remember Mexico. They don't
I remember.
Mexico City, they're like, baby, you better get out that crosswalk. You better,
Yeah. Scoot
you better,
over, dear.
yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
so I feel like it's weird to end on talks of walking and shoes, but
Well,
what
let's
have we
see.
covered, Kathy?
We covered a lot.
We did.
I will say that if anyone has any doubts or hesitation, I'm all for. I promote Rashida uh, uh, all the time as one of my coaches. Stephanie is one of my coaches, and Adelia is one of my coaches. But if for the details on how to make a plan, and I believe in making plans. I believe in the whole journaling process for self awareness in general. So making plans is part of that, and I suggest your course. It put me at ease when going into it, because I was like, how can I do this? And I don't believe, I'm a person who doesn't believe she knows everything, so I'm always seeking help, and some insight. And insight is really what I want. How do these other people do things? And yeah, so I recommend the course.
Yay.
And yeah, that's what I want to say and to leave people, and want people to know that they can do this too. They can do the sabbatical thing.
Thank you for saying that. I did not pay her to say that, y'all.
No, she didn't. No.
Didn't.
I
Um,
I I include you on my YouTube video. So,
Good.
yeah.
Kathy is an example of what you can do when you have an idea, you have some faith, and you have a coach, or three, or five, or I don't know how many, but what the total number is. But like I don't know that you needed help. I think help sped you up. That's what I'm
Yeah.
going to say. I'm going to say that the coaching, my program, the other things you did help speed up your plan, right?
Yes.
I think you would have done it by yourself, but I think it would have taken you longer.
Mhm.
And I'm really glad you did it for yourself, right? Because now, like 6 to 9 months, you're going to be living in Porto. We're all going to be coming to visit Kathy in our new life. Like, what? Are your kids like, what are you talking about, Ma? Is that where they are, or have
They kind of are. I have one who is a buy-in,
Okay.
who wants to actually pick the city that I should live in,
Okay.
and one is like, oh, really? Okay. I would love for them to see Europe. They've traveled, but they haven't been. Well, no, my daughter's been to Europe. Um, but yeah, I would love for them to come and see for themselves. And I think, I have to be the example even at this age, for them to know what are the possibilities, just as, yeah.
Right. And I
Yeah.
bet seeing you do things through the fear, right? Um, I bet this opens up avenues for them to do things fearlessly
Oh,
too.
yeah.
Right? I bet they're like, well, if mom can move, mom
Mhm.
just went to Europe for 3 months. Like I can go
Yeah.
and right, like
Right.
seeing you do things
Right.
help your children do things. I am a child of immigrants, right? Like they picked up,
Mhm.
both moved to England, then they both moved to
Wow.
America together. Like I moved to Jamaica when I was really young. Um, I know that moving is possible because I saw my parents move, right?
Right.
I saw them move from country to country and
Mhm.
survive and thrive in new countries. And so I know it's possible. And we have family
Right.
done
Right.
that right, because
Right.
all island people who very rarely live on the islands anymore. Like we've got family
Mhm.
all over who have done
Mhm.
that. And so for me, that's one of my personal advantages as a traveler, right? Like I took my
Yeah.
first trip, I think at like a year or under a year old, right?
Right.
Um, and it was always to like go visit family,
Mm.
but it's one of those things where traveling seemed natural because none of my family was ever in the same country. Like when I grew up, I think I only had one person outside of my immediate family who lived in the same state, right? And
Oh.
so, right, like
Okay.
it's so
Yeah. Yeah.
traveling. I didn't go down south to see my family like a lot of people do.
Right.
If I needed to see my family, I needed to go to an island,
To
right?
I. Right.
Or right, like I had family in Florida, like in New York.
Right.
Every Jamaican does, right?
In Florida.
Right, Jamaica and Florida,
Mhm.
Canada,
Mhm.
Toronto. Um,
Right. Right.
but we didn't see them a lot. Like
Mhm.
our families are from island. Like when you went back, you went to an island, and so that part of like traveling was always kind of there. Um,
Mhm.
it's just kind of a thing that people do because otherwise
Mhm.
you'll never know anybody you're related to. Um,
Right. Right.
and
Right.
and so I recognize that that is a privilege I have, but I think that as your children see you do this now, they'll know that like, oh, like getting it from moving abroad for
Oh,
months
yeah.
or for years isn't a big deal because we've seen mom do it, right? Like,
That's right.
and their children.
Mhm. That's right.
I don't know. I'm saying
It's okay. It's
I don't know.
okay.
I don't know. Just saying, if they choose to have children, their
Yeah.
children will
It's
see
fine.
grandma
Yeah.
lived where? How
Yeah.
grandma over there, right? Like that's a good
That's
story.
right.
Like how did grandma leave
Yeah.
New Jersey, leave
Right.
end up
Right.
in Portugal. Like, who is grandma Portuguese? Like, like that's gonna be
Right.
the question one day.
Right.
Like, why
Right.
is grandma Portuguese? Are we Portuguese? Like, how did this happen? Right.
Yeah. How'd that work?
Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's so good. And it's not just your immediate family, but your friends, everyone, all of your people, all of your community will see this. And all your viewers on YouTube will see this and they'll know that it's something that they can do too. So thank you
Yeah.
for being a light, Kathy, and like
Oh, thank you.
this
Thank
with my
you.
audience and with the world. I think that
Thank you.
it it really, especially because at 58, a lot of people could make the choice to just say that like it's done, right? Like wherever I am is where I am. I'm done, and
I'm
that's not the
done.
choice you've made.
Right.
Really proud.
Right. Right. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Making choices is can be tricky, but yeah, I'm 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 one to do that now. Yeah, making choices for things that I know that are gonna make me be a better person. So
I love
yeah,
it. I love
yeah.
it. Thank you. And
Thank you.
to everyone in the comments, I see y'all. Angela, and Halisi and some of the rest of you planning your sabbaticals, actually planning your move abroads. I see y'all planning your move abroads.
Okay.
I'm really, really happy for you guys. Like I
That's
want
great.
it to be comfortable. If you haven't given this video a thumbs up, please go ahead and do that. Give it a like. If you haven't subscribed, please do that as well. I offer one-on-one coaching to help people who want to move abroad or take a career break. And I do the group coaching program that Kathy mentioned from Burnout to Bliss. It's a course. It has a curriculum and a group coaching element. I always call it a group coaching program because that's really where like the meat is. We get into it and we really work through issues together. And that's a year-long program. But if you're leaving in 3 months, you can still take it. Like truly, like you need, you get your questions answered, and you will still have questions while you're gone.
That's true.
Or on sabbatical, show up to the training with questions.
That's true.
And just to have that community of people who understand what you're going through, because sometimes I find that the hardest part of planning is planning by yourself. And so when you have other people that you can do the planning with, or that understand what you're going through and understand the fears and the concerns and like why you don't want to get rid of all of your stuff and like all of those things that come up that other people might not understand. It's a really great environment to be in when you are trying to make these hard decisions. Like having that sort of soft place to land when you're doing something difficult is really important. So thanks to everyone who's watching. Thank you again for being here, Kathy. I'm going to say bye to you all. Thanks.
Right.
Next Sunday. Bye.
Bye.